For all those who are worried about the midweek preview not returning, we are back. Sorry about last week. Kids, holidays.
It's been a busy time with everything, hasn't it? Yeah.
Anyway, we've got a really good looking card at Warwick Farm tomorrow on a 3-metre rail. It's hot as buggery. It's going to be hot tomorrow.
There's a chance they call them off, I've heard, as well.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see.
Maybe they'll have to call the entirety of the races off because some guy drove his horse into another horse on Saturday. Have you caught up with that?
Yeah, so what's the replay? You know, how are they gonna find him guilty? Because you can always argue, can't you?
It's too obvious.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't think that's as bad as that lunatic was at Lee Roche on Saturday.
It's a Topaz.
Jesus Christ! Oh my God.
Anyway, rail out 3 metres tomorrow, Warwick Farm. I'm looking for middle draws, prefer off the rails, and we start with an interesting 3-year-old maiden over 1400 metres where Gaugan is our favourite at $2.80, $6.50 is Metamorphic, $6.50 Sahara Emar, $8 Sprezzatura, $8 Ignite the Light, $12 Darhul and $15 Apollo. They're both Waller horses there. And I would suggest that Sahara Emar, who's got Josh Parr on tomorrow instead of Mitchell Bell, will be forward from his wide gate. I'd also suggest that Ignite the Light will race in a handy position up in distance. Metamorphic was sooled to the lead at Randwick, but may be ridden a little bit more cutely tomorrow by Bowman. Gaugan can be on speed, and Apollo can hold his draw, and Darhul with Karen McAvoy on tomorrow is another one that might try and posse up. So a bit of jostling in the early stages. Gord, did you have anything that interested you here?
Yeah, number 1 Gorgon.
Hey, no, this is like 2017.
Gogan, is it? Oh God!
Fucking Gorgon.
I loved its run last start. You know, I'm a nut for horses that jump well. I mean, it jumped well. It was sort of like 3 wide, close to the lead. He went back trying to get in, couldn't get in, then went forward again and ended up pretty much 3 wide on speed. For a horse to do that first up over 1300 metres and still be strong through the line, I think indicates a horse with a fair amount of ability. It was kind of like one of those Schofield rides where he was just trying to gauge what ability this horse had.
He was testing it out.
Is that, you know, the right way to say things like that? I think it should have won that race with anywhere near a decent ride. And, you know, the last 25 metres was pretty solid. I mean, I know you mentioned in a slowly run race, which it was, there's no problem with being posted wide. But you notice the last is at, what was the last 600 in? 33.4. That was Grease Lightning on the day, and for it to still be so strong late, I thought was very impressive. So clearly have it on top. A couple of the others that I'm interested in, which I'll ask you about, was, I mean, how are we lining up this Swaloo form with Ignite the Light? I'm sort of going to go against it. There's a bit of it tomorrow, so...
Yeah, it looks rubbish to me.
Yeah. Okay, and that's about it. I am rather keen on number 1. I think now that Glenn knows what kind of ability this horse has, it'll be good Glenn and it'll be winning.
I didn't hate it, but they did run such slow times the other day that even the horse winning the race doesn't make it win this race for mine. So as I say, I don't hate it.
Yep.
What I do hate is $2.90. And number 3, Sahara Emar, is the way I've chosen to play it. He worked hard outside the lead. Embelled to Jay Parr, and God, you just love being on Jay Parr at the moment. He is just your go-to jockey for middle peggers.
Oh, and that stable's flying at the moment too. There's lots to like about him.
Yeah. Look, Metamorphic. He was funny on debut. He's like, it was such a weird race where Royal Navy just was well tried and just went out the back and didn't participate, and they all looked like elephants in the race, didn't they?
I'll just say for the whole program, I won't be talking about Chris Waller horses much. You can
it's funny because we had Stewie on yesterday. He was far more generous to Chris Waller than those of us that have been like penning him, for want of a better word.
Okay, so the two city races he's won were Cawthon's Power
and Religify.
And they were both against absolute spastics.
Yeah,
to
look,
win.
it's hard to get keen, isn't it? Apollo resumes as a gelding, but at 1400 metres. Darhool does get L Roach to K McAvoy. I think that's worthy of comment.
Yep.
But look, an interesting race to start off with. That's race 1. Race 2, and this time we're here for mares. It's over 1300 and $3.20, a very interesting resume at top of my list. $5.50 Swaloo, the aforementioned horse of Gord's. $6.50 Philosophy. $7 Belceline, $8 Bells of War, $9.50 Marikita, $13 Glib, $16 Dinky Diodora, and long odds the bottom. Now, I imagine that Belceline is pretty urgent here. You know, she was on a mission early in her campaign and then had a freshen up, went back to 1100 and got caught sort of deep and off the lead and going nowhere in 1100. 1300 at home, I think its mission is clear.
Yep. But the booking of the jockey sort of indicates that too, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, she'll be keen. I think that possibly exposes Swaloo. Philosophy holds her inside draw. Dinky Diodora is certainly a horse that, whilst ridden a bit off the speed at Gosford, wants to be in the van. Bells of War shouldn't be too far away. And as I say, very interesting resume at top of my list, who's had quite a long spell, but 3 really good runs in her first preparation and tick, tick, tick trials.
Well, what's going on here? When I was doing the form and I got to number 2 here, I got so incredibly excited. What's Anthony Cummings doing, eh?
Well, can you believe it's Anthony Cummings?
I know! Oh, well, which just
because
means...
Teen Queen had a bit of a dig at Anthony Cummings about the parade and Anthony Cummings and all that, but anyway.
Because I'm just saying, like, I think this horse wins number 2 top of my list. Unless, because it's something different, the stable's done something different than it normally does. Is that maybe the only little query about this horse?
It just wrecks your head a bit, doesn't
it?
You know?
That's overanalyzing, I think, maybe.
Look, honestly, it won a bodgy race on debut, but it won the race, and then it drew gate 1. You just couldn't draw gate 1, and then it went to a Saturday race and chased home Imposing Lass.
Yeah.
Long spell, but then two 1050 trials?
2 1050 metres trials, which both of them were very
Resumes
nice.
at the scene of the crime, Gun booked.
Gun rode them in both trials as well, and rides today. It's just tick, tick, tick all over the place.
Look, it's hard not to get keen there. Anything concern you in the others?
Oh, well, yeah, Philosophy is... you know, that was a decent win at Beaumont last start. You know, Karen McAvoy booking, which I thought was interesting. You know, O'Shea going back there. Isn't that?
Yeah, back to the future. I mean, back to, what do we call that?
So, yeah, no, I had a half look at that one. Obviously, a half look at Swaloo. I mean, I agree with you. I think the form around that isn't going to stand up. So, but obviously, lightly racing might have some sort of ability. I saw Dived Pfeiffer up at the Gold Coast sales the other day. So,
yeah, he would have been there for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just not much of a race, and I'm very keen on number 2.
Well, it's an honest race, and I think that it's important for it to be an honest race because you want at least an even tempo in this race.
Yeah, I mean, what are you saying about Bells of War? Sorry, in this race?
Well, she's a very honest. She gives her all, and I think she got Gun. Sort of got shuffled back a bit, then produced her. She looked the winner, and then Dorf Star got her. But
see, I didn't think I was going to like form around Dorf Star either. But the horse is just going particularly well at the moment.
Flying. Yeah. Look, I made Bells of War the danger. I think that Belceline will give her all tomorrow, and a horse like Marikita is always dangerous in these races because she's got a turn of foot. She was buried away in her only city run 2 starts back, and then she went back to Wyong to find a more suitable race, and duly won. Philosophy second up of a very long spell. Swaloo, look, she set herself up at Wyong, she won the race, that's good, but $5.50 seems poison odds. Glib I will mention because she's just not been ridden to any effect yet. I'm not sure she's got anything, but she just hasn't been given much of a chance. But all roads start and lead to number 2, and it's a very juicy race 2. Move on then to race 3, which is 3-year-old fillies, this time over 1400. Cassidy, the debutant winner, is our favourite, $3.60. $5 Archangel, or if you're Mitch Manners, it's Archangel. $7 7th Chic, $7 Test the World, $8 Invincible Gem, $10 Birdsong, $14 Sugar Palmer, and $21 Naughty Thoughts, $34 the bottom two. Now, you would imagine that Cassidy will seeking to make it all. I mean, she actually set outside the lead at Randwick, stays at the same distance, but looks like a you know, get up there and make everything chase sort of horse.
I think that's definitely the style. If they decided to ride it differently, they'd have none. So yeah.
It's hard to imagine them deciding that. Look, Test the World is a local that's up in distance and can be expected to be sticking a bib out there early. Archangel has some pace and won't be too far away early doors. Invincible Gem with the girl on tomorrow won't be too far away. And next best perhaps Naughty Thoughts. Fan or not?
Yeah, clearly I have it on top. I was going to ask you because I know you're one who's, you like Gay Waterhouse horses going up in distance.
They've been winning coming back in distance later. Pole Dark came back from 2000 to win a 1500, and Fun Loving came back from 1600 to win a 1400. I can't be as dogmatic about it at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. Well, that makes me even more confident about number one. There was a couple of things when I was watching it. There was maybe sort of looked like maybe a bit of a flat spot here or there, and I don't think it really beat much. But to do first up over 1400 metres, sit OSL and put him to the sword. If you noticed that it was going away again on the line.
It was powering away.
So it was more like I was sort of just maybe a little bit concerned between maybe the 400 and the 200. But other than that, I thought it was a great effort first up. The stable's flying, tyres flying, soared forward to take the lead, and you know, I think it's a fantastic chance. What are you making of Archangel?
Archangel.
Archangel.
Remember, we've got to be on
and that's the one that Glenn had a go at somebody about as well too, didn't he?
Yeah. Look, you know, she's run in that race that you're a big fan of, that Coco Excel race, and then second start versus Prep, and then went out and did the job at Kembla. Look, she's poised.
Second up, second Prep.
She's poised. I'm not so, but she may want for just a touch of substance, and the ring is not going to give anything away on this type of horse.
Yeah.
But you know, she's clearly there. I think that something like 7th Chic, I know it's Waller, and you're not considering it, but it's the sort of horse that third up, a break between runs, first and second up, is going to run its best race this campaign. Sugar Palmer I've had enough of, despite the fact that she drew one at Wyong, which was like she couldn't win from there, but she's drawn one here. I don't think she's got anything. And Test the World did a good job at Canterbury, but I think that's like a rung below that race. It's a Foxy Housewife.
I think it's a rung below, but we don't really know what the
I know
limit
Tickling's
is.
come out of that race.
Yes, yeah. We don't know the limit of this horse yet, so it's got to be a question mark. But we're sort of erring towards it not having a lot of substance. And it is interesting when, you know, what do we make of when you're sent to Scone? You know, like is that an indication?
Well, B. Baker does a lot of country racing, and he like he did go Scone to Canterbury. He didn't either loiter in country, or he didn't even go to the provincials.
So I think a lot of the trainers, if they do that, I'm going to pen them when they come for a Wednesday or a Saturday Metropolitan.
So does that continue even after they've
come? Well, you can judge it off that particular run, but I'm not sure what to make of that particular race, except for the fact that I know every once in a while Foxy Housewife can run a decent race, so maybe there is some substance to it. But do you remember he sent some horse to Bathurst? He sent it twice to Bathurst, I think, and it won both starts and then came to town and won again. Like, so maybe he's won. I can't remember
that long ago.
But maybe he's one where you don't pay so much attention to that particular line.
Look, the only drag I could see on the favourite was the fact that Birdsong seemed to run out of its skin in the same race, and you know, from an awkward position, getting up the inside.
Yep.
That just bothered me slightly, but I've marked the favourite 7-4, and I would consider backing it tomorrow. Test the World, sorry, not Test the World. Naughty Thoughts, who rode that at Beaumont? Sir Charles Bishop. So. Another of the Wallers. Now I know you're not considering Waller, but this is Bishop to Glyn, and he made a very long run on her, a very long run on her. You know, she could be dangerous. It's got a bit of guts to it, this race. Every horse has done something, and I think it's a neat barometer for number 1 tomorrow. We'll knock the staying race off, Gord, and then you can have catch your breath. I'm sure you found this an enthralling affair.
Yeah, this is...
I think that a lot of people are perhaps thinking about paying up and tapping out on the staying races after Admiral Jello on Saturday.
Yes, yeah, well, it was a nice setup, wasn't it? Hey?
Yeah, they perhaps
heavily backed too.
Perhaps had enough. Yeah. Right, now in this race it's $3.60 Dylan's Romance, $3.80 No Return, $4.60 El Novio, $7 The Getaway, $8 Alatus, $18 Plymouth Road, $26 The Bottom, which may go to Gosford, and $35 Destination Tucson. And Dylan's Romance is designated leader, despite the fact he's got gate 1, because nothing else looks likely. I mean, Tuscan Rain could perhaps do some chasing here, and maybe Plymouth Road, fresh for his new stable, might be persuaded forward, but it really looks like Dylan's Romance to lead on his own. But he's going to 2200, Gord, which is...
Well, that's out of your comfort zone anyway, isn't it? Yeah?
Well, it's just... 2200 is such a bloody... It's, you know, it's your bridge to 2400. It's like... Yeah. It's, you know, you've well and truly gone past 2000. It's getting into 2400 land. No Return, he's probably run his best races at Canterbury 1900. His Warwick Farm 2200 metre races. I know he ran second here, 2 starts back to Alatus. That's a legless race. El Novio has stepped up to 2400 the other day in a race that fell apart on Saturday. The Way We Are obviously had excuses, but Trafalgar did nothing. But I suppose having had that 2400 metre run, Bowman tomorrow, he fits in there. I would think that number 1 has had a trial for his new stable. He's reasonably lightly raced. He just seems a bit too despised at $18 in a week race. Alatus, I think, just won the lottery the other day. The Getaway backed up to win at 2600 at Gosford. I mean, lightly raced 3-year-old, I suppose that's in his favour. And Destination Tucson has the blinkers off for the first time in her life, I think. Longest price runner in the race. Look, it's not much of a race. We start with number 2, but I think he was better suited the other day.
So 2's on top, but not a bet at that price. Yeah?
No.
Should I just pin the tail on the donkey out?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'll go for number 7, The Getaway.
There we go. That's the end of part 1. Gord's used his considerable forensic skills to nominate the winner of the staying race. We'll be back shortly.